Neville, I understand you've taken a retrospective look at the past 26 quarters all the way back to March 2006 and established that the RBA made the wrong decisions 14 out of the past 26 of those quarters, as compared to only 4 right decisions and 8 that were deemed to be okay. Why are they so often getting these decisions wrong, and in your opinion, how severe have the consequences been, particularly as this period covers the GFC?
First, the definition of wrong is allowing for 12 months or 4 quarters ahead, taking the view that the econometric evidence shows that if the point is to move interest rates up or down to get ahead of the cycle, in other words, if there's any point in being active, and I doubt there is, then you need to be there a year in advance. But then it means a forecast necessary. I think the main reason, David, is it's just too hard. I think we've got an excellent Reserve Bank with very good researchers. It's just too hard. So we better face the view it might be better not to try. In short, lock the rate in at something like 4.5. Now, there's a couple of problems with that, which I hope we'll get to, but that's it. Now, why? I think it's just too hard. Now, consequences, of course, is I think they're destabilising the economy. And if they think I'm wrong, then my challenge to the bank is you do the research on your own performance instead of everyone else.
Yeah, interesting. So basically, your proposal, you're saying fix the rate at 4.5 or something to be determined. Would the Reserve Bank still be around to monitor that in any way? Or?
Yeah, well, of course they're around. They've got to print the money, prudential supervision. They've got a whole lot of functions, and I hope they'll continue to read the economy for us. But the thing is that their own reading and anybody else's is just not working at this present time. So what I would say is that certainly I think in the recent past would have been better than what they're doing. I mean, they're arriving too late, and by the time they get there, they're shifting the rate up or down in what retrospectively is the wrong direction. Now, there's a couple of problems. The two that I see are, quite apart from the bank won't be very happy with this, the bond market won't be either, because bond traders make all their money out of volatility. Well, I'm not here to protect the bond traders, but we must be aware of that. The second thing is, of course, let's suppose we get a surge of inflation. Locking the rate in at 4.5 wouldn't be good. So I think there needs to be an annual review, and or if anything, mad happened, well, you've got to move it. But I think the presumption would be that you've got a working rule that the rate stays there. They don't try and chase the dog's tail, which is what they're doing.
So, I mean, you said that if circumstances dramatically change, you could review the fixed rate. How would you suggest that shocks be dealt with in the meantime? Is it all on fiscal policy, or do we need more automatic stabilisers in the economy, or something else?
I'm all for automatic stabilisers, and if that means a more progressive personal income tax scale, well, I'm not against it. What needs to happen, I compliment the Gillard government in being honest and getting rid of the low income tax offset. That's not against low income people, it's just against dishonesty, because there's no honesty there. And make the scale progressive if you want to, and increase the enforcement if there's increased risk of tax evasion with it. And that's absolutely fine. And don't worry about the fact that people would say, oh, that's tough on the high income earners. This is for macroeconomic stability. And you're still going to need good forecasts with fiscal policy, and what you're going to need is something else. You're going to need more regular looks. It's not good enough to have an annual big bang budget and a little update in the middle of the year. 4 quarterly budgets. First, fiscal policy is going to have to be more active, because I think the lags are shorter, and that's good. That is the effect lags. And the implementation lags would be better because you've got 4 budgets. And the second thing is you'd have to have lots of conferences with economists talking 4 times a year. Isn't that a good reason?
You love that, yeah.
Well, aren't we out to promote economists?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep, very much so. It's good for me as well, actually. So how would this work in an international context? Would there be any consequences for Australia having a fixed rate as opposed to everyone else having floating rates?
Well, a lot of them are not all that floating. A lot of them are not so active. And I mean, Tell me what's happened with the British bank rate in the last 4 years. What's happened with the American bank rate? They've all been locked in. I mean, there's been a couple of adjustments in America. We've been more active than most. No, I don't think so. And so what? I mean, it's not as if these things are internationally coordinated. We're not members of a trading union where we're bound to do it. I don't see there's any international downside in this.
So, if you were responsible for implementing this change or advising them to implement this change, how would you say to do an immediate switch, or would there have to be some sort of progressive transition period, and how would that look?
Good answer to that. Why wait? You don't have to undo any legislation or anything. Well, I suppose what you'd have to do is that the bank would either have to come to that realisation itself, which you could do without any legislation, or it'll have to be forced upon them. At the moment, I submit that the work I've done shows that there are significant economic costs from the bank trying to do this nibbling type of intervention which isn't working.
Okay, well, given that this no system's perfect, what would you say like the main areas of concern would be under a fixed rate? What would be the big things to watch out for?
The bond market. They were jumping out of windows because there's been no money to be made with no volatility. And I think also that the only thing I can see is to watch out. You just ignore all short-term things. I mean, if you get a disappointing 1.5% growth and then a better 3% growth each in annual terms, you just ignore that for monetary policy and you decide what you do with fiscal policy. But a lot of these things are reversed anyway, which is one of the reasons that we've had the problem with fine-tuning.
And in terms of political pressure on this, do you think that this would be palatable to the unions and business groups? And
I think many people would like it if it's explained to people that this goes up and down. I tell you who won't like it, it's the media. The media is making an enormous amount of money by endless pursuit of bad psychology in guessing where the bank's going to go, and economists commentating on this short-term business. They're all going to lose, and rightly so. Let's get on to some better longer-term things, or let's get on to short-term fiscal policy, which is a more reliable instrument, and talk about that instead of worrying about every monthly meeting of the bank. That would be no loss at all to get rid of that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, it sounds like it's about it for me. I think we're just about out
Anything
of time.
Else you want to? You've asked the right questions, by the way. You've done that well.
Oh, thank you.
You'll get the key things on that.